the morning, right? Never, ever, ever. Wow. Can't believe we're here once again in person and seeing everybody. This was the way it was supposed to be in terms of building community. So good morning, everyone. My name is Manuel Colon. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for the Anaheim Union High School District. Proud to be here today with all of our friends from throughout Orange County that are here today, including all of our schools. So thank you for being here. I'd like to start by acknowledging our Anaheim Collaborative partners. Without you, this could not happen. We've been together for many, many years, and every single day that we're with our kids, you're with our kids as well. And so I'd like to acknowledge all of our partners. They're on the boards, as you can see. Obviously, from the school districts, we have the Anaheim Union High School District and the Anaheim Elementary School District. Our college partners, we have Cypress College. Let's give them a round of applause. Cypress College. Fullerton College. Cal State Fullerton. UC Irvine. Our community partners, the City of Anaheim. North Orange County ROP. Ocapica. And the TGR Foundation. And we do have an extended partner who will soon become part of the Anaheim Union Educational Pledge, and that is the Orange County Department of Education. No pressure. It is my pleasure to introduce some special people that are in the room. I know that all of you are special, but there are some people that I need to acknowledge because of their support and commitment for the work that we do. First of all, from our Board of Trustees, our Board President, Mr. Al Jabbar. Thank you for being here, Mr. Jabbar. And Ms. Anne Marie Rendo Trejo. Thank you, Ms. Rendo Trejo. Also from the City of Anaheim, we have Council Member Dr. Jose Moreno. Our Superintendent, Mr. Michael Matsuda. Superintendent from the Centralia School District, Norma Martinez. Cabinet member from the Anaheim Union High School District, Nancy Nguyen. From the Orange County Department of Education, Mertice Salmon. From Fullerton College, Vice President of Student Affairs, Elaine Lepiz Gonzalez. From Cypress College, we have Vice President of Student Affairs, Padre Dios. And from Cypress College, Dean of the School Communications and Computer Science, Henry Hua. From Cal State Fullerton, Vice President of Student Affairs, Associate Vice President of Student Affairs, Elizabeth Zavala Aceves. And from UC Irvine, UCI Assistant Vice Chancellor of Educational Partnerships, Stephanie Reyes Tucho. I also want to acknowledge our student ambassadors who are here present today joining us. Student ambassadors, stand up. And just want to say a couple of quick things. Our student ambassadors have been amazing. Every year they're amazing, but this year in particular, they went out and did pledge presentations to all of the Anaheim Elementary School District schools. So thank you very much, Abdullah, for your leadership. Thank you. All right, let's get the show started. So for today, We wanted to obviously start with some opening remarks. We felt that it was important to hear from our institutional leaders who will guide and also align their vision, their goals with the work that we're doing as part of the Anaheim Collaborative. So we will hear from them and hear their remarks. We are also going to celebrate our accomplishments. I think all of you know that this year we have our first pledge graduating class from the universities. Our class of 2018 are graduating today. So. Yay. We will also be hearing from our students. Those graduates who will be graduating in a month or so will be graduating from Cal State Fullerton and UC Irvine and Cal State Long Beach, who have gone through and have participated in the pledge. And so they will speak about their experience and honor you guys for all the work that you're doing. And then we will make some closing remarks. So that's our agenda for today. Our hope is that we affirm the work and the great work that we have been doing, create some next steps. We'll have some tabletop conversations for you to, one, reflect on what is being said and reflect on this process and just the thinking that we will do collectively. And most importantly, celebrate the great work. Every single day, we know it's hard. We know the pandemic has been hard in the last couple years, but we've made it through. We've made it through together, and so it's important for us to obviously celebrate the space that we have. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our first speaker, Mr. Michael Mitsuda, Superintendent of the Anaheim Union High School District.
Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. As all of you know, this celebration is Manuel's last celebration with us. I know Manuel and I were talking about, reflecting on his career, a long, distinguished career, and what is he most proud of. And as once a teacher, always a teacher, Manuel, I think that was first and foremost. He looked back on his teaching career, and as I think all of us will, who are teachers at heart, value, because that interaction with kids is something that we administrators miss, right, a lot. He talked about his principalship at Sycamore, and that was a real challenging situation because we were still in the process of moving cultures and transforming schools. And of course, he went on to become Principal Savannah and identified leaders, teacher leaders, because we've moved to a sort of flat organizational and management structure. And out of that, was it 10 years ago, the whole capstone process. And you think about, if you don't have a Manuel Colon at the right time, with the right people, perhaps there's no capstone in AUHSD today, even. So tremendous work and legacy. Of course, the pledge, but the pledge coming out of the collaborative. So, Manuel, this is your legacy, and I'd like to honor you today. I know it's going to be one of many. It's emotional, Manuel, but you have always led with grit and determination, but really you've embodied our 5th C of compassion and kindness. And with so many of us here, I think you've put your stamp on, as many of you have led with kindness above all else, because we could not have been here, we could not have accomplished what we have accomplished together, and had those difficult conversations, putting tension on our systems and our people, and out in the field, and interacting with students, with parents, with teachers, and our classified people to move this district forward and help transform public education, not just from a K through 12, but K through 16 and beyond. What we've done is transform and shift the the driver from traditional academics to now preparing students for meaningful careers and calling. And especially now, so important to go beyond traditional, just, whatever the academic metrics have been. We've not sacrificed those academic metrics, though, and that's why our model is so powerful, because our traditional academic measurements have risen. So, but it's really about preparing young people for beyond their traditional academic journey into careers in this challenging thing called life that many of us still grapple with throughout our own lives and our own journeys. And I think the other thing I forgot, Manuel, is you are a person of grace, because I think that is one of the most important attributes of becoming a whole person, is giving grace to yourself and others as well, if we are to grow and reflect and move forward as human beings in this difficult, volatile society that we live in, that we find ourselves with. I feel that there needs to be a sense of urgency moving forward, because the stakes are very high for our young people moving ahead. So moving from and defining social justice away from sort of the traditional drivers of academics and looking at the academic gap, we have, if you think about civil rights and social justice, from Martin Luther King to Cesar Chavez to Gloria Steinem, it's always been about equity and access to meaningful and purposeful jobs. And so that is the transformation, moving away from, sort of an SAT, multiple choice driven world, to preparing kids for purposeful, meaningful jobs. And of course, this is Robert Moses, the founder of the Algebra Project, who recently passed away, but this quote has always affected me. The most urgent social issue affecting poor people and people of color is economic access. And of course, he went on to found the Algebra Project, which he doubled down on the importance of STEM, we call it STEAM, to the future of young people and the future of this country. So I really like the way he framed this. It is about access to meaningful and purposeful jobs. And of course, our CPSF embodies that. And I think many of you here are familiar with our three drivers. But I would like to, today, in the few moments I have, to draw attention to the top driver. How do we develop purpose and meaning? How do we connect the student's identity and their voice to purpose? And the sooner that we can address that, I think the better for them and the better for our society. So some of you know, have heard of Dr. Hom Nguyen. He's the founder of Mindkind, which over the last 5 years has helped transform us into more of a reflective culture. We are a more meditative culture. And he has influenced me a lot. And he shared, because we've had conversations about how do we tease out one's purpose and one's calling in life. And he asked me if I've heard of Martin Seligman, a psychologist from University of Pennsylvania, who in the early 2000s posited, his whole research was really about finding happiness and joy through optimism, and that's so important, optimism and hope, especially now, post-pandemic, there's a lot of negativity and pessimism. And that theory has guided a lot of scholars in psychology, including Amy Wisniewski from Yale University, who built on Seligman's work, looking for job and career satisfaction and satisfaction enjoy with life. So she came up with 3 different ways to look at work. We can look at it as a job, a career, or a calling. And I am reminded of the story of the 3 bricklayers. They're all laying brick, and there's an observer who goes to the first one and asks, "What are you doing?" And the first bricklayer says, "I'm doing my job. I lay brick." Okay? Goes to the second one, who's also laying brick. "What are you doing?" "I'm doing my career. I'm laying brick, and I hope to become a manager of bricklayers, right? So I can be the boss of bricklayers. That's my career." And he goes to the third person who's doing the same thing. "What are you doing?" "I am building a cathedral for God." And they're all doing the same thing. And when I'm reminded of this metaphor, I think about the collaborative and about what we are doing here in AUHSD. We are building a cathedral for public education. We are building, yes, thank you. And each one of us needs to really remind ourselves of our purpose and who we are and how do we fit into this great cathedral that we are building. This is a custodian who's been with us for 25 years, Rafael Munoz. And I've known him for probably 20 years. And he's one of the type of people who just takes pride in his job every day and always with a smile. Everything's always working. And I know him and and he has shared his story. His sons both went to Savannah High School. His oldest is going to be a doctor, went to UCLA and is going to be a doctor. He's in residency right now. The second one is going to be an engineer because of the education that they received here in AUHSD. And when I asked him the other day, how do you always come so happy and joyful and working so hard? And that's what he said. He goes, "It may not seem much, but I know the teachers need clean bathrooms in good spaces so our kids can reach their dreams." And, he is building a cathedral. He knows he's part of something bigger. And even though his kids have already graduated, right, he is continuing to lay those bricks, brick by brick, because he knows, and he's part of something bigger than who he is, just as each of us are. But we cannot build a cathedral for public schools without addressing the really, really vital issues affecting this society, and without addressing the intersection of race, ethnicity, class, and gender. And I think that it's really, really important that we as leaders develop skills to address that. The ascension of the latest Supreme Court justice brought this discussion to the forefront for all of us. And it reminds us that we have a long ways to go in achieving achieving equity in society. People talk about equity all the time, but really, what does that truly mean? I am really proud of our family, our AUHSD family, for challenging ourselves and addressing these difficult issues. I know that with our HR, Brad Jackson, who's been part of these discussions, our entire cabinet has been part of these discussions on how do we move the needle. And it's not just about, specifically people of color, but it's about all people that we recruit and promote and hire who have the understanding, who get it in terms of what we need to do. I'm really proud that in the last 8 years, we have focused on recruiting and hiring employees, regardless of color or gender, who are advocates for kids, for students and their families, especially marginalized students and families. I am proud of the fact that we have doubled the amount of, we have more like tripled the amount of people of color in administrative roles and doubled the amount of women in our district. Is it enough? No, it's not. But we are getting there, and we're moving in that direction. We have, as you know, that we're the first district, I think, in Orange County to address Black Lives Matter. We have created a task force, and we have built on the work of the collaborative and in terms of ethnic studies. We were one of the first districts to offer ethnic studies through our collaboration with Cypress College and Fullerton College, and I think that deserves a round of applause. And we have focused on recruitment and promotion. And I've got to say this, I recently interviewed a young lady who's a graduate of Anaheim High School. She's a third year at UCLA. Cindy Guzman, co-founder of The Crown, which is basically like the Bros. So you listen to her on AUHSD Future Talks. But she speaks very candidly about these issues, about what's the difference between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter? Why should Latinos or whites or Asians support Black Lives Matter? I asked her about the issues of implicit bias that all of us have. I've asked her about toxic masculinity within the Latino culture, within the Asian culture, right? These are tough issues. And one of the big takeaways for me was she said that the students need more vocabulary to express themselves in these issues. They're so volatile, right? And that begins with us as adults. We need to develop the words, right? Understand what those mean. Because if we do not have the courage to address that, where is it going to happen in society, right? It's so quick that they come through our system, and before you know it, they graduate, and they're gone, and they're adults, and they're voters, right? I feel that we need to double down on democracy schools, on civic engagement, on developing student voice, so kids can ultimately have a purpose and a calling. But we cannot do this without healthy mentorship, and I'm proud of all of you, because we're trying to mentor kids through our AIM program. Quick shout out to Scott Rendell, who's really helped us with our AIM program. But it's not just the kids that need mentoring, it's all of us, and that's why I'm so proud of our partners in higher ed, because they mentor us. And you admins, are out there mentoring other young admins for succession. And I'm proud of actually seeing that in action. This young lady is a product of our district. She was in elementary school in our district. And then she went to Sycamore Junior High. She went on to Anaheim High School. That's her as I think a ninth grader. And then she went on to Cal State Fullerton. And then she came back to give back to the district as a bilingual aide at Sycamore. She went on to get her teaching credential and became a teacher, an EL, an English teacher at Sycamore. And then she decided, I'd like to go in administration. She came in an assistant principal in our district. And because of really strong mentors that she had, this past year she was elevated to principal of South Junior High. So give it up for Yoli Mejia. Yoli represents many of our admins who not only have the experience, the lived experience of the intersection of race, class, gender, but she owns it, and she has agency, and she does have the vocabulary to talk about these tough issues and the courage to talk about these tough issues, because she's had good mentorship. And I'm really proud of all of you for being very intentional about building young people up who are grounded in the 5 C's, and especially that 5th one of compassion and caring and kindness. And grace, I mean, all that, that's like 10 C's, or, but I'm really proud of all of that. Because ultimately, it is all about building a new type of cathedral for K-16 education, a new transformative cathedral that's not only transforming Orange County, but I think will serve as a model for this country to help move us forward. Our doors are open. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Matsuda, for starting us off and inspiring us every minute. At this time, I'd like to introduce our speaker from Fullerton College, Elaine Lipis Gonzalez, who is the Interim Vice President of Student Affairs.
Thank you so much, Manuel, Superintendent Matsuda, all of you for having me here today. On behalf of our interim president at Fullerton College, Dr. Gilbert Contreras, it's a pleasure for me to be here with you all to celebrate the successes of both the Anaheim Collaborative and the Pledge program. Long before the Pledge program was in place to tie together all of our educational institutions, all of our campuses and schools, Anaheim Union High School District, Cypress College, Fullerton College, Cal State Fullerton, UCI, were all busy at work serving students and our community. And my family, in particular, is a beneficiary of that commitment and service across all of our institutions. I want to tell you a little bit about my family. My father is a graduate of Anaheim High School, coming to this country not knowing any English, really not understanding the culture. He went to Anaheim, graduated, and because of the open access mission of our California community college system, in particular the excellent academic programs and the stellar support programs at Fullerton College, college was a reality for him. And that laid the foundation for educational attainment in our family. We are a family full of hornets, chargers, anteaters, titans, a few more hornets. And his start at Anaheim High School is what laid the framework for us to be able to transform the trajectory of our own family. And I share that story with you because my family is an example of many, many, many other families in Anaheim that depend on all of us to row in the same direction. To row in the same direction of making education and a college education possible, to make it relevant, to make it accessible, and to make it transformative for themselves as individuals, but also transformative for their families and for our community at large. And in particular, the Pledge has been instrumental at Fullerton College. It has allowed us to showcase our excellent academic programs, our support services, and to showcase that we are a vibrant campus community that allows faculty, staff, and students to come together both in person and in the virtual space to teach, to learn, to engage, to build community, and to really capitalize on their big dreams, and so that we can give them the tools and resources they need to actualize their goals. We have an amazing team, many of whom are here today, working very hard on behalf of our Pledge students at Fullerton College, and I want to thank them for their tireless commitment to making sure that each and every one of our students, and in particular our Pledge students, are successful. At Fullerton College, we're very excited to welcome another Pledge cohort in the fall. We're very grateful for the Pledge students that you have entrusted in our care. They have added so much to our campus community, so much vibrance, strength, resilience, and so much more. And we're very happy to have them as part of Hornet Nation. Looking ahead to the fall, I want to share with you a couple of developments, one in particular that applies at North Orange County Community College District-wide, and another that is specific to Fullerton College. As you may know, our Board of Trustees in the fall of last year implemented a vaccine mandate. And that's very similar to other community college districts, certainly in line with CSU and UC. Last month, our Board of Trustees extended that vaccination mandate to continue through the end of this calendar year with the addition of a single booster requirement. And I share that with you as colleagues because as you work with your students that may be considering community college after graduation, and in particular Fullerton College and Cypress College, we want you to know that we're absolutely committed over the next few weeks and months, making sure that all of our continuing students, certainly our incoming students, are prepared to meet that requirement so that they can take advantage of all the classes that they would like to take, both in person and virtual, that if they want to come to campus to interact with our programs and services in person to receive support face-to-face, they can do that. And so we will be sharing information with you all, certainly with our students and parents and families that attend our events in the spring and the summer, so that they know well in advance what the requirement is, the resources available to them to become in compliance, and how we can help them get there. The second highlight I'd like to share with you specific to Fullerton College is about our brand new foundation. You may or may not know that we have a new foundation. It's called the Friends of Fullerton College Foundation. And Friends is very busy at work, building our endowment, awarding scholarships to students, and also to get grants in that not only provide financial support to our students, but also expose them to career readiness opportunities and meaningful work experiences. And so we're very excited about that because we know that our pledge students have significant financial support when they come to our campus, but we also recognize that they continue to have unmet need with regard to books and all other expenses associated with being in college, and we want to make sure that they are fully taken care of. And at this time, what I'd like to do, if you'll indulge us for a moment, I'd like to invite Rolando Sanabria to join me. I know that Rolo doesn't need really an introduction in this space, but for those of you that do not know Rolando, he is our counselor and also outreach coordinator at Fullerton College, absolutely instrumental in the development of the pledge from its inception. And he's going to join me up here so that we can collectively share our gratitude to you, Manuel. Manuel, thank you for being such a strong friend and ally of Fullerton College. We are so grateful to you. You've been a friend of the college, and we wish you the best of luck in this new chapter. We promise to pledge our continued commitment to the collaborative, to the pledge moving forward, and muchas felicidades.
There is so much to say about Manuel, and it's all good. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to read a quote from Maya Angelou. And she said, "I've learned that people will forget what you say. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Manuel, and I know for myself and a lot of people I've worked with, you made us all feel good about ourselves. There was never an act of power struggle. There was never an act of who gets credit. It was just a matter of let's do the right thing for students. I still remember 5 years ago, there's like 5 of us sat together for a year and we created the pledge. And those moments are, for me, special because I shared them with you. So in appreciation for your contributions to the Fullerton College community, we present you this plaque and we sincerely hope that you enjoy your retirement. It's well deserved, my friend.
Thank you, Rolando. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you for indulging us in that moment of gratitude and recognition to Manuel. And send your students to Fullerton College. We promise that if they come to Hornet Nation, we will take care of them with the same kindness, compassion, and love that you all have invested in their success here at Anaheim Union High School District. So send them our way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Livius Gonzalez, and thank you, Rolo, and I agree. Those were special moments, and thank you for everything you do. I really appreciate it. With that, we go on to our next partner, again, inspired by the work that they do and the work that we do collectively. I'd like to introduce the Vice President from Cypress College of Student Affairs, Paul Dios.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Manuel and Superintendent Matsuda. I was talking to Manuel this morning. He said he has 30 days. Superintendent, I know there's board members in here. Can we add a 0 to that, make it 300? No, but in all honesty, Manuel, you're going to be sorely missed. But on behalf of President Joanna Schilling at Cypress College and our team here at Cypress, who is here this morning, good morning to all of you. First of all, I'd like to thank Manuel, Carlos, Amanda, Santana, Adriana, Elaine, Denise, and Gisela, and the rest of the event planning committee for this opportunity. It's a truly an honor to be here. It's hard to believe that 4 years ago, the first inaugural pledge class graduated in 2018. Many things have happened since then. Our second graduating class in 2019 has graduated. However, none of us would have experienced or foreseen the challenges of our scholars in 2020 and 2021. They had to endure a lot. It was early in the fall of 21 when we made that transition to return to work at Cypress College. I believe it was August 2nd in particular. And for many of our second-year pledge students, it was the first time they've ever stepped foot on campus. I remember walking, and then I subsequently talked to one of our Charger Experience students who was also a pledge student who graduated in 2020. She's currently our AS president at Cypress College. And she was talking about her amazing experience as a pledge student. Obviously, it caught my attention. I wanted to engage in further dialogue with her a few minutes later. But some of the themes that resonated in our conversation was that she was very involved in high school. She knew about the pledge program and the Charger Experience program at Cypress College. And she knew that she wanted to attend Cypress because of the reputation in our community. It's students like Sydney Pike, who graduated from Kennedy High School in 2020, and countless of others who were prepared by AUHSD for this transition from high school to college or university life. It's students like Haley Bersumian, who you will meet a little bit later, who graduated in 2018 from Cypress High and who was one of the first cohorts of Pledge, and she's also a Charger Experience student ambassador. All of this reminds us how important our work is and how she is now going to be graduating soon from the university with her bachelor's degree. So it's students like Sydney, it's students like Haley, and also other students who knew the answers to these questions. How do I pay for school? What do I want to do with my future? What classes should I take? Who is here to advocate for me, and who will be my guide? While Sydney and Haley and the student ambassadors, our student mentors, who are all from the Pledge, they continue to pay it forward by helping future Pledge students have that smooth transition to Cypress College. These are some of the students that we've seen firsthand, that there are some students that we've seen firsthand that struggle to navigate our educational system. These are the students who may ask themselves those same questions, those same earlier questions that I just asked. These questions are viewed with a different lens, though, a lens that some of us have firsthand experience with, which are those who experience uncertainties and have food and housing and resources insecurities. These are all questions I've heard and continue to hear from students, especially first-generation college students. Many of our students are first in their families to even pursue a post-secondary education. But the resources of AUHSD, Cypress College, and all of our Pledge partners are definitely invaluable. As a parent of a sophomore student at Kennedy High School, I received those weekly texts, those emails, those calls about resources so that our students and their families don't have to worry as much about basic needs. So I want to personally thank all of you who are tirelessly paving the way for students to meet their educational goals, but most importantly, life goals as they balance everything that's going on in their life. Now, Pledge students will be walking across the stage at Cypress College's 55th commencement on May 20th. Sydney Pike will be earning her associate's degree. We are waiting to see which university is going to offer her enrollment in the fall. The same goes for hundreds of AUHSD students who came to Cypress College and are just waiting for that confirmation letter or email saying you've been accepted to a university. All of these stories continue to make me so proud and energizes me every day. Which leads me to the importance of the Anaheim Collaborative. From kindergarten to college and university life, the Collaborative has been very clear about its educational priorities for every single student. The original members of the Collaborative came up with an idea of bringing the educational institutions together in the same room. And I know that Rolando mentioned those 5 people. As a result, Cypress College is thankful that we are invited to the table. We're also, able to witness the students excel in education, especially through our service area in Anaheim Union High School District. The Collaborative continues to unleash the potential of students while giving the partners the ability to operate in the best interest of their students. This continues to be the forefront of the work of the Collaborative. Thank you to Superintendent Matsuda, Manuel, Rolando, Santana, Adriana, Evelyn, and everyone who I failed to mention. Again, thank you for inviting Cypress College to the table. Thank you to the high school principals, counselors, and support staff for your partnership and tireless efforts to assist your students with the important transition from high school to post-secondary education. We couldn't have done it without you. Now, I know that Gisela will be sharing with you some data in a few minutes, but before I conclude, I'd like to share some Cypress College updates. So Charger Fridays will continue through May, which we pay through our equity funds, buses to bus your students onto our campus, and we're proud to say all 11 high schools in Anaheim Union are participating in Charger Fridays. Our Commit to Cypress event is on Thursday, May 5th at 4 o'clock, where we will be celebrating those students who've made that commitment to come to Cypress College. Our Charger Experience fall registration events are going to continue in the summer so we can help those students transition from high school to college, their very first day, by making sure that they register for all their classes and they register for the right classes during the summer. We're going to continue to provide free laptops that students can actually keep, right? They can take home, they can keep, we're going to continue to do that through the fall. And finally, we know that there's so much more work to do, but the Collaborative will continue to address what's in the best interest of our students. We look forward to sharing the journey with all of you. Thank you, and congratulations to the AUHSD inaugural pledge cohort. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. De Dios, and your commitment, personal commitment to the Collaborative and obviously Cypress Colleges. So again, very inspiring. Continue to inspire the work that we do collectively. It is my honor to introduce Elizabeth Zavala Aceves. It is a special one. She's the Associate Vice President of Student Affairs at Cal State Fullerton, and she was my student at Catella High School.
How do you follow that, right? Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. It's a pleasure to be here. And, I get to see Mr. Colon, I hope not the last time, but one more time. And again, my name is Dr. Liz Zavala Aceves. I'm the Associate Vice President of Student Affairs at Cal State University Fullerton. Not only am I a Pride Titan, I'm a Pride Catella alum, Sycamore Junior High alum, Suncus Elementary alum. Locally homegrown, it is an honor to oversee what we call the College Access and Career Pathways Cluster within my division, which I call the powerhouse of what makes the world go round at Cal State Fullerton, because I have the distinct pleasure of overseeing Adriana Badillo's team, Center for Educational Partnerships, which has our Gear Up, our Talent Search, our Upward Bound, many other initiatives within our AUHSD, Anaheim school districts, and also get to oversee the outreach recruitment orientation team, the admissions team, the financial aid team, the Center for Internships, the community engagement team, and the Career Center. So if you really think about the cycle of pre-prospect all the way to matriculation to CSUF and beyond, we really are getting students prepared for not only college, higher education, but also the pursuit of a career or calling, and ensuring that they have these lifelong learning skills beyond Cal State Fullerton. I know that AUHSD is very large and big in regards to not only creating college access, but career pathways. The AUHSD Titan Talks had our own President Verdi. I saw the video. And really, I know that there's a lot of great work happening within the school district, not only because I know because of the collaborative, but also because I get to experience it via my own children who come to the school district. And I almost think, wow, how amazing is it that you're this old and already know about Brown, NYU, Cal State Fullerton, and many others. And it's because of the great work that is happening, not only to think about college as an option, but career and a calling. And I know that it's happening through the transformational work that is happening through the partnerships and so forth. At Cal State Fullerton, you may know, we are known for many accolades, but I think the ones that make me the most proud is not only being one of the largest CSUs within the CSU system, but awarding the most degrees to our Latinx community, being 5th in the nation of awarding degrees to our underrepresented students. But the ones that I feel most proud about is really knowing that our pipeline and our access to CSUF comes from our partnerships. Over 50% of our students at CSUF that get admitted and enroll and matriculate are from the partnerships. And just recent, yes, that deserves a round of applause. And, you know, another accolade that I feel really, really proud about is we recently got named and were certified as a Seal of Excelencia institution through the Excelencia in Education nonprofit, centralized in Washington, D.C. And only 10 institutions nationwide got the award. You really need to demonstrate not only the enrolling piece of being an HSI, but the serving piece. And what makes me the most proud about that application, I led a 20-member team to apply for the application. It took us about 9 months to put it together. But the most crucial piece of it that stands out the most, and the story that I keep bringing back to our campus, is that these partnerships are crucial and important. The application has so many examples of the partnerships that were highlighted in this application that demonstrate the college access, the pipeline, transition in and out, and how when we receive your students, how we service them and their families. Because it's not just them that are coming to CSUF, it's their families, it is their community. As you may know, more than 60% of our students are first-generation college students like myself. Predominantly, the information that we provide needs to be relative to their language. It needs to make sense to their communities, to their families. Last weekend, we hosted one of our largest yield events after the pandemic. We had close to, I would say, about 7,000 prospective CSUF Titans that were admitted. I know, Jose Moreno, you mentioned your daughter came to CSUF, and some others are still wondering if they're going to accept, but we really hope that your students come to CSUF, because when we admit them, our job is to ensure that they graduate in a time and pace that works with them, that when they graduate at graduation, that they're ready for life after college, whether that be a career, whether that be graduate or professional school, or have not. And as you know, as a CSU, we are committed to not only eliminate the equity gaps that exist, but also to work on our graduation rates and to ensure that our students are graduating in a timely manner that works within their life. So it is an honor and pleasure to be here with all of you. We as a campus are doing a lot to ensure that when they get here, we are ready for them. And some of the things that we're working on, I know my team's going to highlight some of those things, but we are making sure that once you hand them off, that we're ready for them. We're working on our transfer initiatives as well to make sure that we have a transfer and adult reentry center that is comprehensive for our transfer students. We're also working and have worked with our first generation career exploration program through the I Am First. We got some donor donations to continue the program to ensure that students get their career pathways at the time that they come as a first-time freshman and as a transfer student. Because as a transfer student, as you may know, once you step foot on our door, if you're ready for graduate professional school, that clock starts ticking the moment you step foot. So there's a lot of great things we're doing in addition to eliminating the digital divide. All of your students who come to CSUF will have access to technology, laptops, et cetera. Those things are important. And one of the things I also want to highlight in my role that also makes me proud to sit where I'm at is that I get to be in the room where it happens. I get to be in the room and decide on some of these important factors that are very transformative to our families. You know, we no longer have SATs. I get to now be in the room and talk about what does that mean if we're really providing college access and focusing on equity and inclusion to our local families and communities. What are some of those factors that we need to also identify beyond the SAT and SATs, right? So at Cal State Fullerton, as you may know, we are moving and have adopted the multi-factor admissions process that not only looks at the GPA, but also takes into account these partnerships, puts a cap on some of the A through G requirements, because we know that some school districts may have more A through G offerings than others, AP courses and so forth. So we get to be in a place where we make decisions that benefit our community. If we really are about college access and equity, it is through these partnerships that we have these collaborations and have a lens and pulse on what our community needs. As you may know, Mr. Manuel Colon transformed my life. I hadn't even thought about college until I stepped foot into a Spanish class. And, you know, I don't even know, Mr. Colon, you probably thought I was always late to your class. Because I was that one student that used to carpool with everyone and was always late. And he would, every time I'd sneak into class, and he'd be like, ay, muchachas. But he was the one Spanish teacher who, you know, paid attention. He saw the potential. He not only taught us Spanish, he brought culture into our high school. You did the ballet folklorico. I think you were the only teacher who brought that to our campus. I appreciate you. I always talk about you. You might have not known the impact that you had in my life, but I stand before you very honored and privileged to have learned under your wing, and I will always honor your purpose, because this is why I'm here today, and I want to thank you for everything that you've done, not only for me, but the other individuals that look like me, sound like me, have experienced the same type of first-generation college experience. And I am truly honored to be here, and I want to thank you. We want to honor you as well for all the work and collaboration that you've done. And I know that you and Superintendent Matsuda had a meeting with our president, President Vergi, maybe 3 weeks ago. I saw him and his chief of staff, and they said, Liz, you are so lucky to have your kids in that school district because they are doing great things. And I said, we are doing great things. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Dr. Zavala Aceves. And, you know, Cal State Fullerton is close and dear to my heart, not only obviously because, you know, Dr. Zavala Aceves is, you know, there and doing the great work that she's doing. Some of you may know, both my kids are at Cal State Fullerton. My daughter, yay. My daughter will be graduating in 4 years from Cal State Fullerton in May, 1 more month. And I will tell you, she is very prepared. She's very prepared. She's doing communications, broadcast communications, and she's ready for the world. She's applying for reporting across the state. She might be in Northern California next year, which I don't like, but you know what? Cal State Fullerton prepared her very well, and so we're really proud of her, and thank you to Cal State Fullerton for educating both my kids. With that, I'd like to introduce and bring up, again, somebody who has been with us since the beginning in terms of the Anaheim Collaborative, super committed to the work that we do on a daily basis, speaks of us nationally, internationally, wherever she gets a chance to speak, because she is a true friend and has been a partner in all the work that we've done. I'd like to introduce from UC Irvine, the Vice Chancellor, Assistant Vice Chancellor of Educational Partnerships, Stephanie Reyes-Tricho.
Thank you, Manuel. It is so exciting to be here. I don't know if the rest of you are feeling a little bit emotionally overwhelmed like I am. And it's not just the thrill of being physically in each other's presence, but also just the amazing grounding, framing remarks that were provided at the beginning by your superintendent. It's a different kind of work that we do here. You know, people often ask, so our charge is to work with any school district that has at least 50% or more of their students would be the first in their families to go to college and are students of need. And so, but there's only so many of us to go around. And I want to also, before I even move forward, thank my amazing team in the back who actually do this work on the ground on a daily basis. But there's only so many, as hard as they work, there's only so many of them to go around. So, and there's so many students of need in this county, and we work in LA as well. And I explained, well, it's a really scientific process to figure out which precise school district we work with. It's those that want to work with us. That's it. It's those that truly believe in the value of what we can do together, and that we can do something better together than we can do on our own, and that we want to take the time and put in the effort to build the relationships, have the conversations, and do the work together so that students can move seamlessly through our systems and not have to figure out different language, different policies, different procedures, and just battle their way through that obstacle course. And this district just came in with that in spades. And I'm just really reflecting right now on what it was like 5 years ago to be in this room where we had a few of our other partners from other school districts that we've worked with sharing about, you know, what they had done and what could happen, and now here we are. And there's just some tremendous things to share. So that's who the district is. And who is UCI? We're lucky enough to also have some pretty amazing leadership, both at the campus level and at the school level. Our chancellor, I've worked under 3 chancellors, the end of one and then 2. And this chancellor that we have now was the first chancellor ever who called me and said, you have students coming on campus? I want to come talk to them. Usually it's the other way around. We're begging their executive assistants to get time on their calendar for them to come to an event. This time they called us because they said, we care. And he came and he spoke about himself being a first-generation college-going student. And he made the point that I think grounds our work. You know, UCI is not an elite institution on the Hill. It is paid for. Our salaries are paid for by the parents in this district. And our school belongs to the students in this district. It's their right. It's their right, and it's our obligation and our responsibility to make sure that they have access. And not only that, but we know that we can't achieve excellence without them. So we are really thrilled that the partnership has enabled us to bring on more Anaheim students and for them to do amazing things. One of the things the superintendent also noted in his opening remarks was that there's a mentorship relationship between us. And I want to make clear that that mentorship relationship goes both ways. We are absolutely mentored by the leaders and the teachers and the site leaders and the administrative leaders in this district and the students. We've been doing this work for many, many years. I'm blessed to have a calling. And we always did it based on the notion early on that, of course, students want to go to college. Of course, students need to go to college. So let's just help them figure out how to get to college and make them believe that they can do it. But what we were missing is we have to respond to the changed conditions of our world and the changed conditions that students live in. And students now require meaning. They require personal individual meaning for their lives and connecting college to what their lives are going to be about, not just that degree. And so we're really excited to be focusing more than ever and growing our programs that really help students think not just about college and not just about particular majors, but for what, towards what purpose. And just kind of a little headline of things to come, we're going to be really focusing on building out pathways in education, business, health, engineering, and computer science in the next few years. The piece around education is really critical, and I want to share that our work used to be connected to student affairs, now it's connected to the School of Education. Wonderful things to be gained by connections with both units. What's the difference? Well, right now, we're now under a leader whose research and focus has always been underserved students and higher ed access. So we've got somebody in the leadership seat for whom this work is central. And we are really stepping into that. So in the next 5 years, you're going to see a lot of work coming out in 2 different domains that relate specifically to this partnership. One is P20 work, what sounds like jargon, preschool through grade 20, graduate school, basically looking at the whole spectrum, the whole pathway, connecting all those pieces. So that's directly tied to the partnership. And then the other is really leaning in to preparing teachers. So in the past, the CSU has always done the lion's share of work in terms of creating and credentialing new teachers. And we believe that this is something that we can be doing together, not as a competition, but as a partnership, lending the unique research, expertise, and piece of the UC system to this broader work of creating pathways for teachers. And we're starting that by creating pathways to teachers, to the teaching profession in community college. We've written several grants now. We're going to start working on building a pipeline and pathway for students from the community college to become teachers, to become faculty, to become professors. We want to lay out the sky's the limit for students, and we want to lay that pathway out for them that's seamless and supported. So that's something coming soon. Another piece that we're going to be working on is to take a really hard look at the relevancy of our programs, make sure they're really speaking to the needs of schools and students right now. We want to include new certification and develop new certification programs in ethnic studies to respond to the need for teachers to have additional training and support in that area. We also are going to be developing a bilingual education certificate program to contribute to students becoming bilingual and multilingual. We know that's absolutely critical. And we're also going to be developing school-specific Latinx Thriving and Black Thriving initiatives to complement the university-wide work that's already going on in that domain. Then I want to share a little bit about successes. I don't want to take too much away from the presentations that are to come, but I just have to share that something really exciting has happened when we work together to both highly prepare students and then highly support them when they get to UCI. We've been looking at the data of what's happened to your students, Anaheim students who come through Fullerton and Cypress and then come to UCI. The class of 2021 has a retention rate of 98%. That's unheard of. That's unheard of, no matter what district you're from. It's unbelievable. Not only that, it's amazing what these students are doing. Not only that, the transfer students, because of the pathways and the dual enrollment and the support that they're getting in the district, they're entering UCI. They need to have a minimum of 60 units to enter. The lowest amount of units that any student from this pathway through Anaheim to Cypress and Fullerton was 90 units. They came with 90 units, minimally speaking. That means less debt. That means less debt, that means a shorter time to degree, and that means more opportunities. Additionally, this is what's really very inspiring to me, is the point is not, let's just get them out of there and get them in the workforce as soon as possible. For some folks, that's what they're looking for, but let's also think long-term about higher education degrees and additional graduate degrees, because that's what we're gonna need if we are ever going to have a professoriate that reflects the students, which is a major goal of mine. 30% of the class who entered last year already graduated from UCI. 1 year, they were there 1 year. And they're also applying to graduate school at UCI. So now we're starting to see students applying directly to graduate school. So it's amazing. It's amazing. And so as the students are lifted, our institutions are lifted, we're looking at our 3rd year of being one of the universities doing the most for the American dream, one of the top universities in the country for social mobility of students. We're on our 10-year anniversary this year for the School of Education, and we just became one of the top 10 schools of education in the United States, both public and private. And we're developing, not only that, but we are the only school of education in the top 10 that is both a Hispanic serving institution and an Asian American, Native American, and Pacific Islander serving institution. That is our strength, and we know that. Deeply committed to the work of the district. And we're looking at what's next, right? So, the pandemic was this time of death, both literal and figurative, for all of us, I think. And it's so amazing to be part of this moment of rebirth. And I see that and I feel that, and we're looking forward to all that we can do next. But before I close, I want to bring up my colleague who needs no introduction, I'm sure. But if you haven't had the pleasure, Deputy Director of CFEP Santana Ruiz, to share our own token of appreciation for Dr. Colon. I have to say that this work only happens because of relationships. Absolutely. It's the foundation of everything. And the most grounding relationship that has started this from the very beginning has been Assistant Superintendent Manuel Colon. His kindness, his generosity of spirit makes it truly a pleasure to walk in these doors of this district and sit down in an office and talk about the work that everyone is doing from the heart. And he enters with his heart and encourages everyone else to be able to work from that place and do great things. So we have a new uniform for you. No more tie and jacket. We have a t-shirt and a baseball hat. We love you and we'll miss you. But I know you won't be gone. No. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Reyes, Tricho, and Santana. Always, thank you. So you heard our institutional leaders share their vision, share their excitement about our partnership, share their commitment to the work that you're doing. So with that, we'd like you to turn to the people at your table and share from those opening remarks what inspired me. What from all the great things they said inspired me. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to have that quick conversation. There is somebody at your table who is taking notes, who is listening intently, and who will guide you. You don't have much time, so those that jump in first will get their thoughts in. So again, you have 5 minutes to share what inspired you from the opening remarks. Thank you.
About what this means for me. Grace, goodness, art, respect, A, armor, C, compassion, E, empathy. And I think I think it's so important as we interact with people, with adults, with children, with parents, that we don't make implicit bias as to why is it that they're not different, why is it that they don't have this. Rather, how can we elevate their dreams, their opportunities? And the work that we're doing at Gilbert, and you will hear a little bit more about it, is really bringing the students to believe that even though that they are being defeated in some way or another with their education,
Okay, 30 seconds. All righty. Let's go ahead and finish your last thought and bring it back. All right. So we heard our institutional leaders share their inspiring remarks in terms of the work that's being done. Many of them gave you a preview of the data that we are now seeing. We talk about, right, where does the, I don't know where does the rubber meet the road? Is that where does where's the meat and potatoes in what's going on? Well, you will now hear the meat and potatoes. We are going to have a presentation of data from each of our institutions to share what has the journey been in the last 6 years since we signed the pledge back in 2017, and where are we now with our first graduating class, the class of 2018 from AUHSD and the class of 2022 from our institutions. So to kick it off, I'm going to turn it over to our very own Amanda Bean, our Anaheim Union High School District Director of Career Preparedness Systems Framework.
Thank you, Manuel. Good morning. It's my absolute pleasure to represent Anaheim Union today to speak about the collective work of our site teams, our partners. As you heard from our partners before, many inputs are being put into ensuring that we're creating opportunities for all of our student groups, and in particular, underrepresented student groups. And since the pledge was developed in 2016, we have seen